We thought we'd make some fun videos for you guys on first aid to finish up the school year on safety. Mr. Kartub, as you guys know, is about to become Dr. Kartub because he's been going to medical school. He actually made a career video for you guys on how to do that. We thought that Mr. Kartub would teach you guys how to do some first aid stuff because he was actually going to come and visit the school with a group to teach you guys some first aid skills to stay safe at home. However, during coronavirus, Mr. Kartub and I got in a biking accident, and the only upside to this is now we have real injuries that we can show you guys how to treat. So get excited. This first part is going to be on abrasions. So if Mr. Kartub could just give like a little bit of background on what an abrasion even is.
That kind of shows up pretty well. Actually, I have one here. An abrasion, there we go. It's just a scrape, essentially. So let's see. I went over my handlebars and I got an abrasion on my shoulder because I scraped the floor. And it doesn't require too much, actually. So, you could use like an antibacterial, something or other. Here.
Cue the antibacterial.
Yeah. But really all you need to do is cover it with a bandage.
Okay.
An abrasion or cut, pretty easy. I have some cuts as well, but I already took care of those. Not much to do except put a band-aid on it. So let's do it.
So to get started on treating Mr. Kartub's abrasion, once he fell, it was obviously covered in dirt. And even if you fall and you cut yourself and it doesn't look dirty, there is a lot of bacteria that can go inside of your cut. What's it called, Mr. Kartub, when a bacteria goes inside of a cut and creates more problems for us? I think it starts with like an eye.
Oh, infection.
Yeah, okay, so you can get an infection. So what we want to do is we want to wash out the cut, which we've done with some warm water and some soap, and we dry it off. Use something clean to dry it off. Don't use something dirty to dry it off. And now what we're going to do is we have an alcohol swab. So this is to further disinfect, right?
Yeah. Just kill off any bacteria.
Okay. And would you mind coming closer to the camera, Mr. Kartub? And so we're going to take our alcohol swab. We are going to gently pat it around the infected area. Affected, not infected. Oh boy. Is it sting? Okay. Now you know this is real. So this is an antibacterial spray. We've now gone the extra mile on this. If you have antibacterial spray, good to use on an open cut. So we're going to spray this onto the cut. Also, I wanted to say, before we did any of this, we made sure first that Miss Kartub's hands were clean. So Miss Kartub washed her hands before helping Mr. Kartub. So if you're ever with somebody who has an injury and you might really want to help them, but don't touch an open wound with dirty hands, and also don't touch blood. If you are able to have gloves on, you should wear gloves. Bad role model.
I'm also not actively bleeding.
And not actively bleeding. There's actually a proper way to put on a band-aid. Once you open up a band-aid, you'll see that there's like these little papery bits. They are actually there so that you don't have to touch the band-aid so that it remains. What's the word that starts with an S?
Sterile.
Ah, what does sterile mean, Mr. Kartub?
That just means that it's clean. So if your hands are dirty, and then you go through all this trouble to clean up this abrasion, and then you put your dirty hands on a bandage and put that bandage on the abrasion, you've put bacteria right back into that thing that you just cleaned, so not so helpful.
Okay. Sorry. Hit you there. Okay. Voila. So we were able to put on a band-aid, we were able to not touch the inside of the bandage, and now we can cover it without getting bacteria into the wound. Stay tuned to find out how to help swelling. Okay guys, so the next thing that we're going to cover is what to do when you are swelling up. So Mr. Kartub, if you wouldn't mind showing them your real injury.
Yeah, well there's not much to see, actually.
It's kind of hard to tell on camera.
But yeah, so if an abrasion is an injury to the skin, a contusion, would be more of an injury to your muscle or your bones or something else. And so that's when you're going to get swelling as opposed to bleeding. And my shoulder wasn't bleeding, but if it was deeper, it would be. But here we're not worried about bleeding as much, we're worried about swelling, which is going to be painful for me, and meaning hard to use my arm for the next week. So we want to minimize the swelling.
Okay, so what are we going to do?
So we're going to use ice. You can take pain medicine to make the pain go away, but for the swelling itself, you're really going to want to use ice. And the amount of ice you use kind of depends on the injury. This is a decently bad one, so we're going to ice it pretty consistently over the next day.
For 24 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is where the area of swelling is. So we're just really going to try and put some ice right here so that it has some contact and wrap it up to keep it tight for the next 20 or 30 minutes while the ice is still cold.
I'm going to be a good role model and rewash my hands because I just touched a pet.
Oh yeah, so we're going to be putting ice directly on the skin. That might get kind of cold, and it's not so great for skin to be in contact with ice for that long because skin is, has cells and it's alive, and putting freezing cold things on it will kind of kill it. So we're going to have a cloth there to act as a little bit of a barrier between my skin and this very cold ice. So that'll be the first step. Well, the first step will be to get the ice.
Yeah, if you guys just go to like a grocery store or a pharmacy or even like a gas station, they should have these big bags of ice. So what I'm going to do is I have a thinner bag that I've actually double bagged up. And I'm going to put some ice in here first to create an ice pack. And the reason we're using loose pieces of ice as opposed to using like a big block of ice is because we want to be able to wrap this around his injury. And if it was just a big block of ice, it would kind of like sit in the area but wouldn't really surround it. So
it doesn't take much ice, but we want to put in a little more just because it'll be surrounding my elbow. So maybe a little more. Another handful, and I think that was one. Yeah, so that's fine.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah. Now we have our ice. We can tie it up.
Make sure the air is out.
And we want it to be loose enough that it can still bend around my elbow, which this looks like it'll be able to do just fine.
Okay.
So
Put the cloth on it first to protect the skin around the area.
plop the ice on.
And then we're going to want to have a piece of cloth to tie this all on together. So we'll be right back.
Oh, we have it. So get it to overlap itself a little bit, and then start spiraling downwards. And then you can stretch it more than you have been. And then overlap it with itself again at the end. Perfect. Okay, so now we have a tight bandage keeping this ice in contact with the bottom of my arm so that that ice will stay attached and I can just forget about it. And this ice will keep my injury a little bit cool. It'll keep the inflammation at a minimum, and so it'll keep the swelling from getting worse. And hopefully over the next day or so, the swelling goes down completely. We'll just have to wait and see.